KD for the Wealth Wells. This is your weekly market prep for the week of May 4th, 2025. We're going to discuss the key levels, the market sentiment, market moving data. We're going to discuss some swing setups, and we're going to get some training today on our Stock Master class. We're going to talk about the VIX, and I'm going to try to get it done in a relatively short period of time so you can do the research and get your setups and get back to the market. Are you ready? Your weekly market prep, May 4th, 2025. Let's get it. All right, so as discussed, this is your weekly market prep for May 4th, 2025. Let's go over the tools that you need to trade effectively. 3 tools, my indicators, the ebook, How to Day Trade with a Full-Time Job. There are 4 videos that are paired with the book. They have setups that are only offered in the book that cover day trading, that cover swing trading and setups, a little bit of my ideology and how I see the market, and it works. So grab the book, and then we have the 90-day day trading journal. All of those links will be attached to this video. Here's our game plan. We got to recap this week, or last week rather. We're going to talk about what the upcoming week and the sentiments and the testimonials yielded. We're going to talk about the indicators. We're going to talk about training and the like. And then we're going to end up here with just a couple of words of wisdom there to help you. So we talked about this testimonial last week, so we won't talk about it in grave detail this week. But I just want to highlight one thing. Jason 26 grew a $2,500 account to $6K using my Swing 550 trading system. So what I want to highlight for you guys is if you were to come into this channel right here, into testimonials, and you were to look at these folks, right? These folks have been in the Discord for any amount of time. 2 of all of these testimonials are from moderators who were not moderators when they started in my Discord. No one is a moderator when they started my Discord, so you should know that. Some people have come and gotten their money, gone, others stay, right? But I want you to look at the people who have traded and the success that they've had here, right? This is a living testimonial pool of people that have had success in the market from all types of areas. Day trading, swing trading, and the like. I get DMs, I get messages, I get emails, you name it. Some voice messages for those who do have voice contact with me. And this goes back since I've started. And various figures, 4 figures, 5 figures, 6 figures, and now 7 figures. I want you to know that these folks are having extreme success, right? So with that being said, take a look at this testimonial when you get into the Discord. Read it. 2,500 to 6K. That's not a small feat. That's an excellent return, and you can learn how to do the same thing. So here on YouTube here, there's an interview out there. I've done a few interviews, traders that I've developed to 6-figure per month traders. They still go through ups and downs. Everybody does. However, over the long haul, the goal, 7 figures, 6 figures a month. And you can do it too. And then we've taken a small account. We've moved a small account from 5 grand to 26 grand, and we reset it. So join the small account challenge, coming into the Discord, and you can learn how to move a small account to high profits with discipline. Okay. And then there's your paid training, the wealthwellstraining.com. And then we have my setups. You can take either one as you like, pick and pop. And then this month, we have a few setups and a few things that we're releasing to you that has kind of come to light in my one-on-ones when I train and talk with people. There are some things that I think you would benefit from. So we'll talk about that. All right, so here's the data events. ISMs, Monday, FOMC meeting pops off with Fed Chair conference after that at 2:30. So watch for that. Wednesday, Tuesday, we're pretty much open. All right, Monday and Tuesday for the most part, but Tuesday we're open. Productivity. And we've got a lot of people talking right after the FOMC meeting. Obviously, the blackout dates, they are removed. And so, people start to talk and give their opinion. So we're going to be paying attention to that. Global markets here. Again, ISMs for the U.S. A couple of things I'm watching is unemployment rate. Canada there, mainland China inflation rate year over year toward the backside of the week, right? We're talking about, now this isn't really a major mover, but because of the tariff wars and et cetera, you're going to be wanting to pay attention to that. But the big driver is going to be Wednesday, Fed chair conference. Blackout date is still going on until a couple more days of that. It ends when the Fed FOMC meeting is complete, right? So once that's done, then they'll be talking, which is why you see the Feds getting on the mic backside of the week. All right, so here we go. Let's talk about what we can watch for this week. All right, so interest rates decisions coming amid pressures to lower the rates. So that's going to be huge. The Fed Reserve interest rate decision on Wednesday comes as the central bank faces increasing political pressure to lower interest rates. But so far, investors don't expect the Fed will lower rates from its current levels, 4.25, 4.5, according to the investor, Fed Watch tool. Now, the decision comes after the central bank got more encouraging inflation news last week when March inflation rate was in line with expectations. That's always good, though still above the U.S., the target. U.S. employers also added more jobs than expected in April on Friday's job report, so that was positive. Now, the Fed chair comments after the decision follow weeks of scrutiny from President Trump, which has raised questions over whether the president could remove the Fed chair from his position and what that would mean for central bank independence. So that's another added pressure and fear toward the street and stocks. So if that talk does heat up, you're going to see that trickle over into the markets and increase volatility. On Friday, the Fed's blackout period ends, as discussed, with a noteworthy event that will feature a string of speakers from the Feds. The names are there on your screen. I won't go through all of them. And also speaking at the event is the former Fed Governor Kevin Warsh, and a key advisor to Trump who has been critical of the Fed Reserve and is thought to be one of the president's candidates to succeed Powell. So you can expect a back and forth. You can expect some perhaps not the most positive comments. That you can expect the comments to be framed in a way that expresses concern, and you can expect volatility in the market come the backside of the week. Investors may also look to other key economic release this week, including the trade balance on data on Tuesday and initial jobless claims on Thursday. Wednesday's scheduled report on consumer credit comes as economists are evaluating consumer health and faltering confidence, while Tuesday's wholesale inventories report could provide insight and supply chain resilience as trade tensions remain high. Also, so we're going to talk about Planeteer, AMD, Ford, Disney, and more to report earnings. So kicking off the week, Ford scheduled to report on Monday as the automaker has lowered its outlook under increasing pressure from Trump automobile tariffs. So that's important. Planeteer's results after the bell Monday could also provide more insight into demand of AI software. AMD scheduled to report Tuesday, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, as the semiconductor industry has come under pressure from tightening trade restrictions on exports to China, and AMD said could result in a $800 million cost. Then we're going to talk about the ride hauling division here, Uber and pharmaceuticals, Novo Nordisk. They're set to release Wednesday, along with Disney. Entertainment giant reports Wednesday follows a better than expected quarter for the company, and it continues to build its streaming service, which is reportedly laid off about 6% of its news and cable television division. Other companies are due to release later their latest quarterly results. Coinbase, Shopify, Anheuser-Busch, and some others. You can see them there. So we're going to be watching those as well. We can't go over all the swings, but we're going to go over a couple of them to help you get to the next level here. VVP indicator, the link is down below. It's a better way to trade. I use it on all time frames. It helps me. It helps others in the Discord crush this thing. My levels are being pulled into there as well. And then the other setups populate when you see these little indicators. Learn how to use it. There is a video inside of the Discord here. If you come into the indicators channel, you'll be able to watch the video on the indicators. And let's find it here for you right there. And you watch that, it shows you how to use it. Get it. All right. That's for all my indicators. Okay. Here are the earnings that you should be looking for. Now, there's many more earnings, but these are the ones that, for the most part, retailers are paying attention to, and then some. So we're going to start another interest here within in these weekly market preps, and I'm going to start highlighting a few that's not on the radar. every week, maybe one or two, and we'll be talking about those. But the ones that's on the radar here are certainly the ones that's going to get the volatility and the volume behind it. And so they're going to be, for all intents and purposes, a stock in play. And we want a stock in play because we want participation. So you got AMD there, I'm watching, Walt Disney there, Coinbase, and some others there, Uber, Peloton, you name it, there's a setup there for you. All right. So here's a spotlight. Now, again, these are earning spotlights. These are spotlights for swings. You'll definitely want to pick your entry, and we'll talk about that. I'm going to give you my suggestion on entry so that you can understand what I'm waiting on, and we're going to talk about a little bit of these. So AMD, Walt Disney, and Coinbase. Let's get to AMD. It's going to report after Tuesday's closing bell. Analysts expect 101 per share on revenue of 7.29 billion. All right. Prior estimates of 96 cents on revenue of 7.08. Analysts noted that AMD's PC and server business have benefited from the tariff-related pull-ins. At the same time, they've trimmed their full-year forecast to EPS $3.61 on revenue, $3.61. Right. Prior, it was at $4.46. That's obviously impacted because of tariffs. Analyst notes that I found on AMD, there was a number of notes out there, but overall, the consensus had a buy rating for them. And they said it'd be hard for AMD to put much of a stake in the ground on the 2H given tariffs uncertainty. Analyst writes, but we expect the tone of share gains in server and PC CPU to remain positive. They are highlighting the significance of the management's commentary on the data center business, GPU business, and they've offered guidance for growth in the strong double digits. So, you know, it's vague enough that it's still probably okay. So analysts are all of them are looking for an overall more solid response here, but they still have it at a buy rating. Here's what's interesting though. 155 12-month price target. All right, so let's take a look at AMD and talk about the setup for you. All right, so here's AMD here on the daily. Let's get our levels here for AMD. Now, the overall market back in early April, we accurately forecasted the buy up here accurately, and what we're looking at is to see AMD hold. Now, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, let's get some of these levels cleared up here. I would like to see AMD right here, right? And I am going to put an alert. So this will be a stock long or a leap long for me. Okay, so if you're looking to take a position, I can't tell you what to do. This isn't financial advice. Trading has significant risk. Trade at your own risk and do not risk any capital you're not willing to risk. What I am going to do is I am going to wait in harmony with my trend line here and volume. This is for the overall market too, not just with AMD. I would like to see my entry come at this point here. Specifically, perhaps over the next 2 weeks, we could see a burst, but I don't like it until I see this sell volume fill up here personally. And I hold at 89, right, 85. Now, from a stock perspective, right, it's not a bad setup there because I enter here, right? Let's put it here, right? And, you know, when it's all said and done, it's going to be an incredible. Now the projection was 155, right? 130. So I do agree with that personally. I do agree with that. But your projection, you could see a 30%, return here just on the stock side. Even more if your leaps get underway or you get a long-term swing. Now, this is a 12-month projection here. So personally, for us from a stock perspective, I intend to build a position down where we talked about. I intend to build a position $89, dollar cost average in this area as far as stocks. I'm going to pair that with leaps. So what we're going to do is we just simply set an alert right here. And once we set an alert, we set it and forget it and we leave it alone, right? So that's the setup for me on AMD. I'm looking for it to kind of come into this area here. I don't like this here. Let's hide this for a second. I don't really like, from a short-term perspective, can you get a couple more points? Yes. Intraday, yeah, you can. And if we decide to, I don't day trade AMD, but if we were to look for a stock in play, I'd have to see the volume. I'd have to see the float. I'd have to see a couple of metrics line up for what pushes this stock to the upside. for certainty, 110, you're gonna get there. But what I would rather see, based on geopolitical news, based on decisions from the Fed, whatever catalyst it is, it does not matter to me. A catalyst in the world to push the stock back down into this area and then a buy up. All right, so that's what I'd like to see. Once my alert goes off, my orders will be sitting there to get filled. All right, so that's AMD. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the next stock. All right, so here we are for Walt Disney. Before Wednesday's opening bell, they're going to report. Analysts, they've reiterated their buy rating, but reduced the 12-month price target from 130 to 105. We'll take a look at the stock in a minute. They've basically said there's risk to advertising and parks given the current macro uncertainty of just the overall market, economy, right? Spending, consumer spending. The analyst notes that advertising represents 30% of revenue and parks account for approximately a third of revenue, which is huge, and about 50% of earnings before interest and taxation. Analysts expect EPS guidance to be intact given solid performance so far. So overall, most on the street believe fiscal second quarter results will reflect resilient demand across the parks, initial upside from the new cruise ship, and solid sport advertising. I agree with them as well. So let's take a look at Disney. Again, the target 105 has been moved from 130. All right, so let's look at the charts. All right, so here we are with Walt Disney. And Disney, aligned with the other features of the market, other sectors of the market, we're coming off of that early April, right, buy up, indicating that buy pressure has stepped in at this area. I mean, we had a significant pullback from market highs, right? And so personally, I was able to catch Disney as we broke and capitalized. Now we want to gain into the upside. We're looking for a 12-month setup here. Now we're going to trade it in between there for swings, but we're looking for a 12-month setup. I feel the same on Disney, right? Now analysts have it at a 105 in this area, right? Down from 130 on a 12-month target. I personally have mine in the same area, 110, 108. So this target here, my areas of interest, identify where I believe volume is going to shift. These are not supply and demand zones. They're based on my own reading of the market, of the stock, analytics, etc. Right? And we talk about all that stuff in Stock Master class or in the Discord. So what I'm going to do is in this area right here, what would make the most sense if we had one day or a week where I saw a pullback here. So you're looking for, 14 points or so. I would like to see a pullback in this area. We've been around the POC for a couple days. I would like to see the market pull back here, 86 in this area for Walt Disney. And I'm going long for, I think they do hit this area here. I personally think the market comes up to that 115 on, it's certainly in the 12-month. I think they come up to 115 for Walt Disney. So I personally am going to take a long position, probably a 16-month leap once I get my alert here, longer dated options contract, and I'm going to grab for a 115 target. So if that works out, which I can't see why it wouldn't, again, I'm showing you guys how we really cook here. That works out. I'm looking at 32%, which is solid. Now, on the previous stock, we talked about, the target really was much higher. So we'll review that in a minute. But 30%, the reason I'm showing that is for me, an incredible lock-in. And so I average some very nice, solid returns on my swings because I'm not greedy. That's number one. And then whatever runs after that, it runs after that. So even in our swings channel, right, some of the guys that I've trained, Jason's been posting in here quite a bit, 46%, 30. This is part of my system, 32%. Can you get that? Right? Can you get that? 9%, 16%, 32%. Can you get that? Right? If you can get that consistently, you're going to be super, super successful. So obviously we can run past that. You can let your runners run. Once we get into this area, volume will have to shift on Disney and you will see a pullback, which will affect, your return. So I say exit into strength. That's a 32% move. I like it. And I think once we get the alert down in this area here, I see another shift in volume. I'm going to take that. So right now, with the market shifting, all of the swings, all of our long-term leaps, our long-term stock positions, we're going to be setting the alerts and entering throughout the year. And we're going to look for, 14, 16 month expiration of that contract with intention to exit, I would say 12 months or so. All right. So let's take a look at our next stock. All right. Next up, Coinbase. Coinbase does not reflect the relative strength of Bitcoin during the opening months of 2025. We'll see how management in the cryptocurrency exchange characterizes its results and sees the results and see the rest of the year when it reports on Thursdays after Thursday's closing bell. Coin was down more than 18% year to date through April 30th. S&P was off almost 5%. Bitcoin, meanwhile, was up 0.8%. Analysts note in an April 22nd research primer, they said retail trading volumes in the cryptocurrency market have held up in the first quarter of 2025 despite market correction, in contrast with the overall market sentiment. So long as Bitcoin and retail volume holds up, analyst writes coins should still have a decent 2025. The analyst explains that in general, volatility helps. Now, I said this last week. Please pay attention. These are analyst notes. They agree with my notes. I am my own analyst. So, we agree. Volatility helps trading volumes. And we know that. But what you may not know is that it's a pillar of trading fundamentals, trading foundation. And the analyst said that they have that Trump's administration change agenda spikes volatility. That's really good for Bitcoin. That's really good for crypto. The uncertainty of the stock market and etc. It yields good returns for crypto. So if you don't trade crypto, you want to be looking for crypto adjacent investments or crypto adjacent stocks, because they're also going to pump, right? So some crypto ETFs or coin and the like, right? All in all, they highlight healthy non-trading revenue. 40% of the exchange total offers more stability in their business model. They have it for a buy rating. Target price, 310, 53% from its April 30 closing. So let's take a look at coin. All right, so here's coin, and I have the same exact sentiment with coin. Now, I will not be treating coin like the normal entries that I have in my stock portfolio. It'll just be a smaller position because I'm not heavily invested into the crypto space, right? So the intention is to reduce some of my risk there because of the volatility. If I do size up, I will be looking to take profit at my target in a relatively short period of time. So I'll set a 12-month position on it, but when I hit my target, I'm out. All right, that's just how it works, because I'm expecting some extreme volatility there. So again, you see I've got some areas of interest here. 178, we got a 310 price target. I agree with that. I think 274 is more realistic for me personally. So once I see, we'll set an alert down here. Once I see the market or coin come anywhere in close to this area here, I'd like to see that. It's $30 nearly, $20 from where it is now. I would like to see in some way. Now, when does it do it? I don't know, right? I really don't know. But we'd have to have a breakout past this area here, past this 209.07 on coin. And then we'd have to see this sell volume change. This would mean geopolitical news. This would mean some kind of catalyst either way, right? So I am going to put my trigger here, 176 area. As we come a little closer, I'll start to buy in this area. And if we get even lower, even better for me, right? It's a 12-month position, okay? So we get that, right? And we're coming up 274. That's me, right? Right there. I'm looking at a 54%. And I'm happy with that over a longer term position. Now my out would be here, right? Somewhere in this area, right about there. That's what I like, right? So we can see the, you at least get a 1 to 4 here on that setup, right? So that's the idea. That's the alert there. And that's what we can look forward to. So now, as we go through the rest here, these are our swing trades. Now, this is what I give you weekly. Okay, so I just gave you a little something, a little taste of, hey, this is what you do with my spotlight, my earning spotlight. But with other stocks, you need to learn how to analyze those, and we talk about that in the Stock Master class. So now let's get to the levels. All right, I'm going to give you the levels, and I'm going to give you the trade plan now, because I'm going to give you a little bit of training in a minute to wrap up. So the market opens up right at our level. You can clearly see that level was there. All right, 5704, key level. All right, and what we're going to be looking for this week now, it depends on the volatility. We could see a pull all the way back to 5583.25 because there are orders still sitting there for sure. We could see a pull, and the market is waiting on that. Now, that pullback at some point aligns with everything I've just said on the swing trades that we talked about for the earnings spotlight. The pullback in the S&P would trigger the pullback in those three. That would be good for us. It means we'll get a good setup, right? We've got 3 areas of interest above us, all right? These are the levels, and my trade plan is one of caution because we've had such aggressive moves in the last, since on Friday, right? So what will I be looking for? I'm looking for the buy volume at 5668 on the tape to either fail or shift or stay static, whatever. That's going to give me the indication that we're solid. If I see that hold, I am going to take the position long back to 5704 into my area of interest. Now, these levels and the areas of interest, they've been there for some time. They're very reliable for me. So you can, if you like, you can go back and check my videos and see. But either way, I am looking for this volume here to shift above 5704. This was our target for Friday. We took that. That was fine. It was a good trade. And now, if we don't see the shift there at the open, the market is already open, and then we can capitalize to the downside for a hold. But be cautious. Volatility is in play, all right, and the market is certainly responding to the shifts in volume. It's responding to the trade tariff wars and etc. So you're going to see these long tail buy-ups. You don't want to get caught in that. So have a plan and understand. So those are my levels, and the trade plan here is the areas of interest to the upside. We'd have to see volume shift here. When we see volume shift at 704, I'm going long and holding off of that. We don't see volume shift, I'm shorting off of it. This will be my guiding post for the week. All right. So that's our trade. Those are our levels and our trade plan. Get the volume profile. It's my volume profile. Link will be in description. We've already went over our trade plan. Let's go ahead and talk about, first we'll talk about the Stock Master class. Real simple here. We'll wrap up in about 2 minutes. Just like I gave you the tutorials and breakdown here of what I like to see in the market, you're going to need that. You're going to need it. And so I in the Stock Master class, I go a little deeper. We're going to talk about research, analytics. We're going to talk about setups. I'm reviewing 1,000 charts over the next 12 months. You can sit on my shoulder and watch. All right. So VIX, let me give you one little trick here that I use with the VIX. I've said many times, and I've given it to you many times. What you're trading is actually at this point volatility, right? That's actually what you're trading, right? So here's the VIX, right? Areas of interest. I've got levels on the VIX and another chart that I share. So, that's pretty straightforward. But let me give this to you. There's, you should understand that the VIX has it's an index, all right? And just like an index, any index, it's measuring something. And what it's measuring, there's a somewhat of a predictable nature to it. I'm going to give you one simple tip on how to get a predictable nature on the volatility so that you don't get clipped in reversals or poor trades. You can understand when to size up or size down and be more cautious. It is a proven, statement. In fact, I don't trade making trading decisions using lagging indicators. But in my training, I show you how to use some lagging indicators against retail investors. So against you, right? People that are using them. Wall Street is doing the same thing. These lagging indicators give them signals for when you are going to make a decision. And then therefore, they're able to, in effect, we could say bet against you, or they're able to set an algorithm to trap you. Okay, so it's a fact. You can research it on your own time. So what you do is something super simple. Put a 50 SMA SMA, simple, not exponential, right? You can do an exponential too, but simple. And very simply put, look at that. That's over the long haul. Very simply put, look at that. Long. All you're looking for, all right, and this aligns with some other summation indexes that's out there, right? This is what really, this is a component of why the VIX is the fear and greed, right? So, you know, the market is made up of so many different stocks, right? And investors are actively getting engaged. Some aren't, some are at any given time. And so what you're trying to look for, what you're trying to look for is really when the momentum and when the engagement, right? When the bulk of traders, when the bulk of the market is doing something, you care not whether or not they're going up and down. You do not care. All you care is participation. So you would really like extreme fear or extreme greed. All right. So if that's the case, if you're going to be, you know, checking for that stuff, then one good way is to just put a 50 on here and develop a rule. All right. The rule is above, when you come close to the 50, right, and you see a move off of the 50, right, meaning on VIX, you're not looking to trade that. That is your indicator for a heavier risk, right? Strength off the 50, market's moving to the downside, VIX is moving up to the upside, right? We're talking about, you know, a lot of fear coming off of it significantly. You want to be heavier with your risk. Want that thing to rip. Now you got to use your levels to understand pivot points. When we come back to the 50, anywhere around the 50, let me highlight this, okay? Anywhere around the 50, do you see that there? This is indicative of market neutral conditions, market neutral conditions. It means volatility begins to dissipate. What will you see? Long tail wicks, fake outs, right? A lot of spiky behavior. That's what you're going to see, right? So you're going to want to protect yourself in a way to tell you, to trigger, when should I really get engaged and make a lot of money? When should I get engaged and make a little bit of money? Well, from a day trading perspective, this is it. It also helps you when it comes to picking some of your swings from when you can get into a position for that thing to rocket. All right. Learn how to use it. I'm giving you tips every week. Join the Stock Master class. If you get inside the Stock Master class, we talk about a lot of this stuff, 52 weeks, 1,000 stocks every single Sunday. That's it. Market events have been talked about, training. We've talked about everything. I found an incredible quote online, and I want to share that with you. The ratio of time you spend, and the ratio measurement is sweating to watching. Sweating to watching. That's the ratio. The ratio of time you spend, others sweat, watching others sweat, is a forward-looking indicator of your success. Show me a guy who watches ESPN every night, spends all day Sunday watching football, doesn't work out, and I'll show you a future of anger and failed relationships. Show me someone who sweats every day and spends as much time playing sports as watching them on TV, and I'll show you someone who is good at life and really cooking it. So the same can be applied to day trading. You spend a lot of time watching stuff on YouTube and commenting and doing all that stuff. I have never seen a successful trader waste their time in frivolous things. Never. It's never going to happen. But you spend your time after you watch it, equal or more time, practicing, gathering the data just like an analyst, you're going to be successful. TheWealthWellsTraining.com. It's going to be an awesome week. I'll see you guys inside the Discord. Get in the Stock Master class. Come in the Discord. Join. It's free. And you can learn. You can add value. All those testimonies we talked about. You can be one of those guys or girls or ladies as well. All right. If you show up, you'll go up. We'll see you later. KD signing out.